Manchester United, just listening to Kenny there, the Manchester United fan who was on, I think it was on talkSPORT, wasn't he, yesterday, having his little rant. Every single United fan always talks about the transfer policy of the club. Like, oh, it's been a disgrace, the transfer policy. It's been awful. Yeah, every single summer I look at who they get in and I'm like, oh God, Man United are doing well here. When they got Casemiro in, I was like, wow, it's a good signing. Then, you know, they were getting excited about Anthony, overpaid, but they got excited. They certainly went crazy about Jadon Sancho. They were ready to kick out David De Gea, get rid of him, get Onana. Yeah. They got their guy, Onana. The Mason Mount saga, they wanted Mason Mount. They seem to get the players. The only one I say they haven't really got is that number 9, right? And that's the one they haven't got, Osimhen or Kane. But everyone else, they seem to still get them. They still seem to spend big money. I understand the Glazers argument. Glazers, you know, using the club's money to fund the transfers, but they are still getting the players on the pitch that they want. So who are they blaming here?
No, I agree. If you look at the team that Erik ten Hag had available to put out against Brighton, let's use that game as a case study. The team should have won the game. Yeah. He had a team that was totally good enough, and I like Ten Hag generally. I've been a huge backer of his. You know, I flagged quite how well he did last season. You know, getting Manchester United back into the Champions League, getting to 2 cup finals, winning a trophy. All of those things are significant, and I think there's a lot to say that he has done things well. However, it's going a bit wrong, and he really isn't helping himself at the moment. You know, the way he speaks, I feel like he makes so many errors, just the things that he says. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you heard his interview, one of the things that he said post the Brighton game. He said something about, well, Brighton spend money too. Now, hang on a minute. That Brighton team cost 16 million. Addy, you and I were having a conversation off air, and we were sort of jokingly, almost sardonically having a chat about what that would buy. Yeah. Their entire team was equivalent to Dalot, wasn't it? Isn't that what we established?
Yeah, Dalot cost 4 million.
A quarter of the price of Jadon Sancho. Yeah. The entire team.
The entire 11, that battered Manchester United, cost that,
was Dalot. So look, it's all very well for Erik ten Hag to acknowledge the things that he's done well, and I do that. You know, the handling of Ronaldo, whatever else, he's done it okay. But he's getting it wrong now, and the way that he's talking is weird. You can't talk about money with regard to Brighton. Yeah. Like, that is just baseline.
Yeah, that's just like schoolboy error.
Exactly.
I feel sorry for him. I almost feel like the job's now too big. But there's only a couple of managers in the world that I think could handle what's going on at Manchester United, both off the field and on the field. It's almost too big for one man, especially a man that's come from the Eredivisie where you just didn't have the eyeballs on you like you do at Manchester United.
Yeah, all of that's true, but he's not helping himself either. Like, did you hear? You know when Garnacho scored that goal against Arsenal? Yeah. And he started talking about the fact that VAR used the wrong angle, the wrong camera. Like, that's not it. That's a chat in the pub. That's a chat in the pub. But that has nothing to do with the offside. They haven't used the wrong camera angle. It's a conversation about what the definition of offside is today, or perhaps he doesn't even understand what it is, and that is a legitimate thing to say because it's become so warped and so murky trying to decipher exactly what VAR are doing and exactly what offside is. You can say that, but he's off the back of the comment about Brighton, he's then talking about using the wrong camera angle, if that has anything to do with it at all.
Yeah, and to add to that, obviously it's come out now, and look, United staff, and we don't know where these rumours are coming from, but United staff are concerned about the influence of Ten Hag's agent, Kees Vos, who is his friend, who's bringing players to the club. So it's just, again, it's more drama added on to more drama, added on to more drama. And it's okay if you're getting results on the pitch, because everyone seems to forget the problems off the pitch, don't they? When you're getting battered on the pitch and then you're having this drama off the pitch,
but they're all over the place. They are all over the place. So the only way that you can make excuses for Ten Hag, and I don't think that we need to be generous here. I think that when Ten Hag has done well on this show, you and I have been very complimentary.
Of course.
At one point, we said he had the Midas touch. Everything he touched turned to gold. He was doing it really well.
As it showed last season.
As it showed. Yeah. You know, they went on a run. There was a very impressive period where Erik ten Hag was getting everything right. But that isn't now.
I remember messaging you, and I think this was prior to Elise's goal against Crystal Palace, and I was like, oh, dude, I looked at the table. They're 5 points off City.
Yeah.
At one stage, they were close.
Title charge. And then it went to pot. Yeah. There is an argument, however. Is it the impossible job? It's one thing after another. It's a soap opera. You know, if you think about what has gone on in that club, even in the last 2 weeks, everything on its own, everything in isolation, I think you could just about rationalise it. You could just about make it work. So if the only problem at the club was Jadon Sancho taking to Twitter to air his grievance with the club, you could just about make it work. If the only problem at the club was the Anthony debacle, you could just about make it work. If the only problem at the club was the injury crisis, you could just about make it work. But it feels like it's just this perennial problem. And then you start asking the question, maybe Erik ten Hag is doing a good job. Maybe he is the right man for the job. Maybe he's doing everything right. And the job actually is impossible. I just argue that he's making it harder for himself at times.
Yeah. Murky, isn't it? It's murky.
It's murky.
Yeah.
I mean, there is also a conversation to be had around signing so many players that he already knows. I mean, there is a justification to that. Sign players that you've worked with before, you have a relationship with, you have a
for huge fees.
Yeah.
Anthony, huge fees.
I saw an amazing stat comparing other top managers re-signing players that they've worked with before. I mean, you know, Ten Hag has done it on countless occasions already. He's done it more time than the rest of the top tier managers combined.
Really?
Yeah. It's just not a thing. It's. I mean, I think you could argue. You know, like it's not a thing. I think we kind of assume that it is because when it happens, it's not a thing.
It's not a thing.
Like when Jose Mourinho went to Inter, he didn't sign John Terry, did he?
Yeah.
You know, it's not a thing.
Yeah, like when Klopp came from Dortmund's Liverpool, I expected him to sign everyone at Dortmund.
Didn't happen.
Didn't do it.
So I mean, I think Guardiola's done it like once.
It's mental, that.
Yeah, it's not a thing. Whereas
Ten
Hag's done it. So no, this is just another thing. But I also think it's important, and obviously what we like to talk about, Addy, is football. That's what we love. That's what we do. That's what we spend our time discussing on and off air. Let's remember that it's almost a poison chalice, the job, because it's such an amazing job. It's an opportunity that you have to take. But if you think about all of the managers post Alex Ferguson, right? You're looking at what? Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho. Like, think about how many trophies they've managed to accrue. All of them, right? So it goes, what? Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Solskjaer, Rangnick, Ten Hag. 4 trophies. He's got one of them and he's only been there a year. Maybe he is doing a good job. Maybe we set the bar too high. And you know how we were talking about the transfer at the beginning of this segment? You flagged, they do sign good players. They do. And you're right. But think about, they wanted to sign Amrabat. They couldn't, and they've ended up having to get him on loan. Realistically, if you think about the dream signing, so it wasn't Højlund. I mean, they can spin it that it was, but it wasn't. It was Kane. It was Kane. Mason Mount, I think, is a good signing for them.
They got their goalkeeper choice. Don't do this. They got their goalkeeper choice.
They did get their goalkeeper choice, yes. But
they got Varane. They got Lisandro
But remember
Martinez,
everything going. Okay, but Jadon Sancho, Mason Greenwood, fan protests, Glazers, takeover from the Qataris. It just feels impossible to me. And while I concede that Ten Hag is getting it wrong, there seems to be this very thin line that, you know, when you critique a manager, people go, you want him out. And it's not that. I think that we can have a conversation. Look, I'll make it about my own club so people don't think I'm being tribal. I think Mauricio Pochettino is making a pig's ear of it at the moment. But I certainly don't want him sacked. I extend the same courtesy to Erik ten Hag. I think he's making a pig's ear of it at the moment. But at the moment, I still think he's the best man for the job.
I don't think he has the stature to handle the problems, even on the field. Like players.
But by that, realistically, who does?
Jadon Sancho, if he plays for Liverpool, doesn't dare pin that tweet. Doesn't even speak. Like, he's never playing for Liverpool again. Do you know what I mean? Never playing. And we've seen Thingy do it. Guardiola with good players. Cancelo not playing. Don't want you at the club again. Any little hint of disruption.
Leroy Sané, you want to go. Despite the fact that he was mustard as well.
Unbelievable. Yeah. You want to get out. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Klopp,
you don't have that luxury.
Did it with Sacco years ago, defender for France international.
Yeah. He went Palace.
Had a little bit of an attitude. Never played for Liverpool again.
Yeah.
Never play. You just don't do it.
Yeah.
And these players feel like they can do it with Ten Hag. They feel like they can speak out and say things.
Do you think that's a Manchester United problem rather than
I think that's a Ten Hag issue.
But Ten Hag has been a disciplinarian. He has extended the same courtesy to every player. So when Garnacho was late in training, in pre-season, missed a game.
Yeah.
When Marcus Rashford was 1 minute late, 1 minute late for a team meeting, didn't start against Wolves. When Cristiano Ronaldo threw his toys out the pram and went on a Piers Morgan interview, adios. What more? He's been a disciplinarian.
What can you do?
He's been a disciplinarian. He's then, you know, this whole Sancho saga. If Jadon Sancho had just kept quiet for about one more day, he'd be the starting winger now.
Yeah.
So who's wrong really? Erik ten Hag voiced his concerns about.
I said Jadon Sancho. I said Jadon Sancho.
But what more can Ten Hag do?
on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.